Tennessee. Adam, what's the latest there?
Well, Laura, Brian Daboll did not get the Buffalo Bills head coaching job. He's still up for the Raiders head coaching job, though they haven't hired him. And that would tell you that it doesn't seem like it's going in his direction. And if he doesn't get the Raiders head coaching job, he is set offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans, where he would get to work with Cam Ward, the quarterback that the Giants tried desperately to trade up to draft before the draft last year. Couldn't get it done. Brian Daboll didn't get a chance to trade for him last year, but now would be joining forces with the new Titans head coach, Robert Saleh, in Tennessee. And that would mean that it would be New York, with two former New York head coaches, Saleh and Daboll, in Tennessee to try to turn around the Titans and elevate Cam Ward's performance.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like this hire a lot. Daboll's shown the ability, right, to work with some young up-and-coming quarterbacks in his last few stops. He was the Bills offensive coordinator for Josh Allen's first 4 seasons in the league. We saw success there. In his first season with the Giants, he inherited Daniel Jones, made the playoffs. And then, of course, there was Jackson Dart, so you know about that and what he was able to do with him. But he threw 15 touchdowns, 5 picks. Earlier in his career, he was a quarterback coach for Brett Favre during his Jets season. I'm not sure many people even remember that. But, Dan, do you like this fit?
Oh, I really like the fit. Kind of to the points that Schefter and you made. One, I like the fact that Saleh has somebody else who's been a head coach, you know, so like there's the ability to be the head coach of the defense in many ways and then head coach of offense. Two, Brian Daboll's track record for the young quarterbacks, Laura, you pointed out, speaks for itself. The big thing for Brian Daboll is continuing to push Cam Ward to slightly calm some of the loose mechanics down and not take away his special talents. If he can find that sweet spot where you're not trying to coach the magic out of him, special out of him, and you could just really get him to be more consistent, then you got a really, really, really high-end player. If he could do that, I like it.
Yeah, I echo a lot of those sentiments. I think the thing that I like about this, and that would give me some encouragement if I'm a Titans fan, is not only has he coached a number of different young quarterbacks, he's completely altered his offense to fit the skills of each of them, right? Going back to Buffalo, we talk a lot about Josh Allen's development, but y'all remember that offense, that was all gas. The 10 personnel, throwing a lot, getting him to become a more disciplined quarterback in that process as well. And then, of course, the QB run element. Then in New York, Daniel Jones' best season, although to this, he also had a great season, obviously, in Indianapolis, but to that point, wildly different. The boots, the design quarterback runs, lots of zone reads. That offense did not throw down the field at a high rate. He wanted Daniel Jones to protect the football and to compensate for the offensive line. And then to Jackson Dart, some differences as well. There's through lines. You'll see a lot of RPOs, I think, you know, and I imagine that'll continue with Cam Ward. Some college principles as well. But I think just for me, that flexibility from quarterback to quarterback is what is most appealing, because you don't want a coach to come in with this young quarterback and say, this is my offense, you're going to have to play this way. He's going to have to tailor it to the skills of Cam Ward.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Tennessee play next year. I think this was a major move for this organization. And think about it. The coach that they let go is about to play in the Super Bowl that we're about to go cover in San Francisco. So when you look at Robert Saleh, y'all know I'm a huge fan of him and what he did, not only with the Jets, but in San Francisco with that defense and what he was able, how those guys competed. Sometimes you look at the response of players more so than the X's and O's. And I think these are two guys that gets the response out of players to elevate them not only as football players with development, but also give them a reason every week to go out and compete at the highest level. I think, honestly, that's the most successful trait of a really good head coach, is that these guys will run through a brick wall for you, or a coach leading a unit. Brian Daboll, I've known him since he was at Alabama. Boogie, you've known him. We know he's fiery, but guys love playing for him. And Robert Saleh, to me, seems like the antithesis of a guy that football players love to be around and want to max out as players around him. They have two cornerstones as well. Dan, I heard you talk all season about Cam Ward and how talented you think he is. So Brian Daboll developing Cam Ward, based on what you've talked about and what we've seen, he can become one of those guys that you believe can be a franchise leader. Okay. And the cornerstone on defense that Robert Saleh is working with is Jeffrey Simmons, a guy that is phenomenal, a great leader. He plays one of what y'all know the most important position for me on defense right now. So it's not like you're walking into a situation where you're going to look around the locker room and not identify that we already have a lot of the makeup to be a successful football team. So I love this. 2 former head coaches, 2 guys that I think get guys to play for them beyond the X's and O's. And I think that part is going to pay major dividends for the Tennessee Titans, especially coming off this redo that they had that didn't look so successful in the beginning.
Yeah, Cam Ward's not going to shy away from intensity either. He wants to be great. We saw that a few times even this year at the podium after he felt like the team fell short. Guys, it's while the Chargers introduced their new OC, Mike McDaniel, and as we speak, the Steelers are scheduled to introduce their new head coach, Mike McCarthy. We'll take you there as soon as he starts speaking.
All right, Amina, but first, we have some breaking news. The Bills have a new head coach, staying in-house by promoting offensive coordinator Joe Brady on a 5-year deal. NFL insider Dan Graziano and NFL analyst Marcus Spears joining us on SportsCenter. Dan, I want to start with you. What more can you tell us about Joe Brady being named the next Bills head coach?
Yeah, Jay, Josh Allen, the Bills quarterback, was a big part of this interview process. And when you look at the list of candidates that they interviewed, a lot of them have very close ties to Josh Allen. Obviously, Joe Brady has been his offensive coordinator for the last couple of years. They also spoke to Brian Daboll, who was the offensive coordinator there before Joe Brady. They also spoke to Davis Webb, who was a backup quarterback for Josh Allen a few years back before he started his coaching career. Phillip Rivers was in that mix, and he's got a relationship with Josh Allen. So it seems like a big part of the focus of their search was to keep the Josh Allen part of it strong by bringing in a head coach that knew he had a good working relationship with him already.
Marcus, what do you make of the hire?
I like the hire. Look, if a coach was the play caller that led me to a league MVP, I would want him to be my damn coach as well. And that's what Joe Brady was able to do with Josh Allen. And listen, this was about the margins. When you fire Sean McDermott, this is about winning the Super Bowl. So believe it, Joe Brady has a lot of pressure on him as the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. I think there was a significant amount of known that the Buffalo Bills obviously wanted to have with a guy that was already in the building. This was one of the guys I asked because I think he is one of the young, bright minds in the NFL from an offensive standpoint, which we start to see what the hires would be. And that was the trend that was going on for a couple of years. So it made all of the sense in the world to me. And obviously they wanted to do their due diligence as far as interviewing other people. But I thought Joe Brady should have this job because of the rapport, one, he has with Josh Allen, who's the face of your franchise, but more importantly, understanding how Buffalo likes to do things while adding some nuance, but understanding the amount of pressure that the head coach is going to be under taking over this franchise.
Okay, Dan, Marcus, I want you guys to hang tight. Joe Brady is in Buffalo, and Mike McCarthy, the new head coach of the